Hi,
Hi,
how are you today?
I'm really well, thank you, Michelle. How are you?
Good. Brilliant. Thank you for asking. That's lovely. I'd love to welcome you to Network She, to the mothership. We're doing the conversations with the crew today, and you're a diamond member.
I am indeed, yes.
Fantastic. Well, for those that don't know me, my name's Michelle Smith from Angelic Healing. And today, I'm going to introduce the lovely Eirian to us. Do you want to introduce yourself and let everybody know what makes you happy?
Hi, everyone. My name is Eirian Stevens. I'm Welsh. I'm currently married to a Dutchman
Oh,
living in North Wales. And the things that make me happy are, well, my husband makes me happy. My family make me happy. I have children. And the other things that make me really happy are quite simple. I'm quite an outdoorsy sort of person, or I was when I was younger. So I still love getting out and doing some walking in the hills. I love horse riding. I was brought up and learnt to horse ride at a young age. And I've gone back to it in recent years, which I'm really enjoying.
yeah.
I love walking in the hills. I love being by the sea. My absolute passion is dancing. I do a lot of, well, I used to do when we could, a lot of ballroom dancing, Latin American, swing jive and Lindy Hop,
Wow,
and
fantastic.
also Argentine tango.
Wow. Well, you're so
So
much fun to be around. Clearly, we need to hook up once we're be able to mix.
yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. Horses. I got to say, I share that passion. There's nothing
Yeah.
quite like being around horses. They're
Oh no, they're wonderful creatures. Really
magical,
are.
aren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are. Really
And there's
special.
the sound of him chomping on the hay. It's really quite, there's nothing quite like it to hear him content and happy and chomping away on the hay. Lovely
Yeah.
crunching noises. Oh, he's
And they've got such unique individual personalities as well,
yeah.
which people don't realize, I think, sometimes. But
Oh, they're beautiful, aren't they? Oh,
yeah.
lovely. I might just pick riding back up myself now. I think you've inspired me to dance, to get outdoors, and to pick up the horse riding. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. Oh, lovely introduction. So do you want to give us a little bit about your background, let everybody know where you come from?
Yes. I was born in London of Welsh parents. Both my parents were Welsh. And I lived in London. My parents were self-employed. They had a shop, they had a grocer's. So I'm a grocer's daughter. And they decided to move back to West Wales when I was 17, which was a bit of a shock at the time because we lived in North London, quite sort of central. But we moved back to West Wales, to Cardinghamshire, to a small place called Lampeter. So I'd gone from sort of Camden Town in London to Lampeter, which was population 2,500. So it was a bit of a shock. However, I did adapt. So I finished my schooling there, and then I went off to Aberystwyth to college, where I studied librarian. My original profession was as a professional librarian.
Wow.
I did that until 6 years ago. And so then I worked for a couple of years to finish my training at the University of Wales Library in Lampeter. And then I took a job in North Wales, which is how I came to be here, working for a local company, Robertson Research, as it was called. People may remember it, as a technical librarian in charge there.
Wow.
So I did that for some years, and I then married my first husband, who worked also at Robertson's. He was a geologist. And we then went to live and work in Singapore.
Oh.
And I was the British Council librarian in Singapore for about 3 years. And then he got promoted and moved to Indonesia and Jakarta.
Oh, wow.
And so we moved to Indonesia, and I became a consultant, external consultant for the British Council in
Fantastic.
Indonesia. At
Wow.
the same time, I was expecting my first daughter.
As you do. Oh, wow. How fantastic. Oh, we got to know more about this. So what was it
Yes.
like living in Indonesia?
It was quite interesting. English, when I was there, was not widely spoken. So the first thing I had to do was learn some Indonesian. Because my then husband was a manager, we had servants in the house. and I couldn't communicate with them because they didn't speak English. I didn't speak Indonesian. So there's a lot of hand signals going on. So I decided I had to learn Indonesian fast. So I managed to find a class nearby. And then I actually asked the tutor if he'd come to the house and tutor me one-to-one, because I needed someone who could speak Indonesian to come and help me out with some of the teething problems that I was having settling into Indonesia.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite a challenge because we didn't have mains sewerage. We had, or main water. We had a water tank in the garden. We used to have to pump the water up every day and things like that to contend with. We sometimes didn't have electricity for 8 hours a day, so no fans going. So it was quite interesting, but I loved it. Yeah, it was really, really nice. Once you settled into life in the tropics, I really enjoyed it. And funnily enough, it was the things that I saw and experienced and learnt about while I was living in the Far East that have led me to do all the things that I do today. Because a lot of the things that I saw there and experienced there for the first time, I'm now actually practicing.
Wow.
So
when you were in
planted the
Indonesia,
seeds.
yeah, I was just thinking about when you said as you were doing all this change and moving, you were pregnant with your first daughter.
Yeah.
So as you were describing all those difficulties that you had with the electricity and the sewage, you had a little girl as well with that.
Yeah, I did.
Wow,
yeah.
Amazing, fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a bath for the 2 years we lived in Indonesia because the water was so dirty coming out of the taps that you didn't want to be sitting in it. You would get an infection.
Oh.
So, so I used to have to boil all the water to give her a bath when she was first born, in the baby bath.
Oh gosh.
You know, you have to boil the water, and you had to sterilize the water as well as boil it, you know, sort of putting tablets into the water as well. So first thing I really did when I came home was just put all the taps on and just watch the water running out of taps.
Yeah.
I can drink this water. It's clean.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, there's a few stories there.
Oh yeah, there definitely are. There definitely are.
So go on, that led nicely into, you were inspired, and whilst you were over there, that led you and planted the seeds into what you're doing now. Do you want to give us more information about that, how that transition took place? What were you learning about?
Yes, well, I was in my 20s when I went to Singapore, and I think it was a very mind-opening experience for me, seeing a different culture. And Singapore is a really interesting place because it's a meeting point of cultures. There's Chinese, there's Indian, there's Malay, and there's also European influence there. And one of the very first things that I became aware of, because I was working with locals, I was head of library services in Singapore. I was European, but all my staff were Chinese or Malay.
Yeah.
So I used to hear them talking, and conversation was around things like health, which I had an interest in always, and well-being. But it was the way that they dealt with it. Their attitude towards it was so different to Western ways. The Chinese attitude towards health is that they do a lot to preserve good health and prevent bad health, which is different from the way we do it in the West.
Yeah,
we wait until things, we wait until things get bad, and then we start trying to do something about it.
Yeah.
They were also very, very conscious and aware of what they were eating. And the Chinese believe that, you should eat lightly steamed food and warm food to promote the body's energy. So they started talking about health with this word energy, or qi, which I'd not really heard of before. So that was bringing in a new element to me for healthcare.
Yeah.
And then I used to travel to work on a bus every morning, and I used to go past a big park, and there I would see people doing their exercises, which is Tai Chi and Qigong. And they would be there every single morning as I went past. So I got quite interested in that. I wasn't able to practice it myself in Singapore. I wanted to learn while I was there, but because I was a foreigner, I would have had to have got police checked and all sorts of things to be able to be allowed to practice it, because it is a martial art. So because I was working full time as well, then I just decided, okay, well, we'll just file that away for future use or interest. And when I got sick, then my staff used to sort of rally round and say, oh, no, you know, you need to try this, and sent me off to Chinese herbalists. And so, yeah, it was a really interesting experience for me. It really opened my mind. When I went to Indonesia, of course, I was expecting my first daughter. I didn't have a really good pregnancy with her. I was quite poorly at some times because I kept threatening to lose her.
Oh, right.
So, and I was told to do a lot of bed rest. And then after I'd had her, I actually flew back to Singapore to give birth, and then flew back to Indonesia with a baby a week later.
As you do.
Yes. Luckily, I had friends I could stay with in Singapore. And when I got back, my servant sort of said to me, right, Nonya, she said, now we need to get you someone in to massage your stomach to help your stomach go back to normal shape. I was like, okay, I'll organize it. Okay. So I had a succession of people coming to the house to sort of pamper me and look after me. And I was told, now you must eat this after giving birth, and you mustn't do this, and you must have a month where you just completely rest. And so it was just like, wow, you know, this doesn't happen back home.
It doesn't, does it? I remember after having Michael, my first, well, only child, I was running pubs and restaurants at the time, and I remember having him on the Wednesday, coming home on the Thursday, and on the Thursday night I was cashing up, doing the tills with him on my knee as newborn baby. Yeah. Wow. I think I'll take a flight over there in my next life.
Yeah. So it was all very, very different and very new and very, very interesting. I used to spend ages once, you know, I did learn to speak Indonesian quite fluently, and then I used to talk to them about, you know, what do you do, you know, with this. And I remember once my young baby got sick with diarrhea, which was really common in Indonesia because the water isn't so good. I mean, I breastfed her for 6 months. I wouldn't let her have anything but breast milk for 6 months because it was just so dicey over there.
Yeah.
And then she did get diarrhea one time, and Nonya came, and one of my servants came and said, right, she said, I've been to the local witch doctor. This is what we've got to do. And it was like, okay, well, you know, I think I might just take her to the doctor as well. So it's like, okay, but, you know, let's do this first. Okay. So it was just learning to respect other people's views and be open to, you know, okay, this is totally new to me, but you know what? I'm just going to go with it and see what happens.
So nice to be welcomed by that community.
Oh, it was.
To help you support you.
Yes. And also they thought I was totally ignorant. They needed to educate me. It was about what I should be doing to look after myself after having had a baby. And because I was so far away from home, my mum wasn't around or anything, you know, it was like, I really did get very welcomed by them. But I was also fascinated to learn more, you know, wow, this is new to me. And also my daughter was given a Welsh name, so she's called Nia. And when I brought her home from the hospital in Singapore, they asked me what her name was. I said, it's Nia. And they said, oh, Nonya, that's an Indonesian name. I went, is it? And they went, yes, but we spell it differently. And it's like, okay. And I have to say, I mean, I am a Welsh speaker, second language Welsh, but I have to say, out of all the languages I've learned, Indonesian is very, very similar to Welsh. I was really struck by that as well, in the structure of the language. It was quite easy for me to pick up. So,
wow. You know, I'm going to ask you now to give me a little sentence and then tell me what you said.
Well, I'll tell you, I can't remember a lot of it anymore because it's been a long time since I've been back in Wales. But I can remember my daughter's first word wasn't mum or dad, it was chicha, which is a little insect that crawls up the walls. But her next few words were mau minum. And mau minum means I want to drink, please. So it's
so like, polite. First words and then just so polite as well. Fantastic. Yeah. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Did you go on to have any more children while you were there? Or did you...
Not while I was there, no. I had my second daughter back in North Wales, and that was a shock to the system after having servants. You hit the deck running.
Right, to bring us coming out of Indonesia, Singapore, Indonesia, and coming home, how does that work then? Or if we've missed something in between, fill the gap.
No, I came back to North Wales, and North Wales for me is home. It's my spiritual home. I feel so happy here and so comfortable because I have both mountains and sea, which I love. So having those two close together is absolutely fabulous as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. And although my ancestral home is sort of West Wales and South Wales, for me, North Wales is home. And that's it now. I'm here.
Yeah, you can see you just sparkle now when you visualizing where you are with the sea and the mountains. Yes. Perfect.
I love living here. So yeah, I landed on my feet when I decided to take that job and move up here.
So tell us about the job that brought you back here then.
Well, my husband was manager in Indonesia, and then we were supposed to be going on to another posting in Canada, but the company decided to sell the Canadian side of their operations, so we landed up back in North Wales. And then I took about 5 or 6 years off because I had children. And then I just decided one day I wanted to go back to work. I think when my youngest was going to school full time. And I just wrote a letter to, it was then Clwyd County Council, Head of Library Services, and just said, here's my CV, here I am. If I can be of any use, if you've got someone off sick and you want someone temporary or anything, you know, just let me know. And I had a very polite letter back from them saying thank you, and if they would contact me if required, which I kind of thought, well, okay, I'm probably not going to hear anything. And about 4 months later, they rang me and asked me to go in for an interview because a member of staff from their reference library had gone off on sick leave. So I went in for an interview, which went really well. And the next thing I knew, they offered me a temporary job while this person was on sick leave.
Right.
Well, that person didn't come back from sick leave.
What did you do?
I ended up I got the job.
Fantastic. Well, that was meant to be then, wasn't it?
Oh, it really was. And because I'd been working at the job in Singapore actually paved the way for that, because I worked very closely with the British Embassy. We used to offer a specialised information service in our library in Singapore for businesses who were exporting or wanting to export to the UK. So building links of trade links between UK and Singapore. And so I used to deal with a lot of business sort of information inquiries. And they used to come to me rather than the Chinese staff because they didn't really understand British systems. So I worked in the reference library for about 18 months. And then they used to also offer in Mould at that time a specialist business information service covering both UK business information needs and European business information needs. And the person who was running the European side of things went off to have an operation and was off for about 6 weeks. So they asked me to step into his post and cover the post, which I did. He came back from sick leave, but carried on training me a bit because he said, well, if I'm ever away or I'm on holiday, then you can just take over while I'm not here.
That's trust. That's good.
Yeah. And then with local government reorganisation, when that happened, he decided to take a job in Hull at the university, which left his post open. And I got his job.
Hey, fantastic. I wonder if when he come across you being a little golden nugget, in the back of his mind, he had a plan for the future and you were just put in his path to help him get to where he needed to be, which helped you too. You just don't know, do you?
Yeah. It was really, I mean, we were good friends, you know, and it just seemed to work. It clicked sort of thing. And I actually did hit that job for 19 years, almost 20 years.
Wow, flipping heck. Yeah. So you
So
must.
I went somewhere for a temporary job of a few months, and I ended up being there over 21 years. So
That's a great story.
yeah,
Fantastic. Well, you must have enjoyed it then. Super.
I did.
So, how did that lead you into what you do today?
Well, the door that opened the path to where I am today began with my own body letting me down. As I've said, I was very outdoorsy, very sporty. I started playing hockey at secondary school, and in secondary school in London, I became sports captain. I was hockey captain. I played for the school in London, but I also played for our county in London. So I was spending a lot of time playing hockey growing up. My mother had also been a hockey player, and my cousin actually ended up playing for Wales. So it's in the family.
Yeah.
So I carried on playing hockey through uni. And when I got to North Wales, I joined Llandudno Ladies Hockey Club. And so I used to play a lot of hockey. Then I used to play mixed hockey as well, because Llandudno also had a men's club. So I used to mix in with the men as well. And I think I was around 41. I was still playing hockey every Saturday. I've been playing since I was 11. And we did a tournament one Saturday of 5 mini games with some teams that were over from the Isle of Man. So I thought nothing of it. I played 5 short games during the Saturday. And on Sunday, I found I couldn't walk upstairs because one of my knees had got really, really swollen and inflamed. And then the following day, the other knee started to get really swollen and really inflamed. And it was like, okay. And I was going up and downstairs on my bottom, trying to get up and down the stairs. I'm thinking, okay. So I went to the doctor, who discovered that in my right knee, I'd got the start of osteoarthritis because I've been doing so much running. I used to be a winger, so I used to play, on the wing. So I was constantly running.
Yeah.
And then in my other knee, I had a small tear there as well, and there was fluid leaking out. So I was just basically told that I could not run anymore.
Oh, heck.
Yeah. So I said to him, well, what can I do that isn't going to hammer my joints then? And he said, you can swim and you can ride a bike.
Right. Oh, ride a bike. That's interesting.
Yes. Yes. Now, I didn't know how to ride a bike then, because I've been brought up in London, wasn't allowed to ride a bike because we lived on a main road. So I said, okay, I can do swimming. And I suddenly thought, I have been so active all my life. Played hockey in Singapore. I used to go running. It was like, what am I going to do? I'm so used to being so active. I have to find something that I can do until I'm really old that is not going to have a negative impact on my body. And that's when I found Tai Chi.
Fantastic. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that little seed of Tai Chi that I'd seen in Singapore came back, and I started to look for a Tai Chi class. And I found one locally. I actually started with Qigong, which are the Chinese health exercises. And I was very quickly told that I had a talent, a gift for it, that he said, you're moving so naturally.
Oh, wow.
So something that I had started to do for my own self, my own health and healing, actually turned out to be something I was really good at.
Fantastic.
So I then went into Tai Chi and was told, if you want, you could be an instructor.
Wow.
So within 3 years, I had gone through a grading system and I was instructor level.
Fantastic. Well done. That's amazing. I keep picturing you being on that bus going to work when you were in Singapore, was it?
Yeah.
And you could see them all in the park. And it just must have stayed with you, that rhythm.
All these seeds have been planted in my head when I was younger. And I really believe the universe provided me with an opportunity to follow those, those seeds started to little blossoms.
Yeah, absolutely. And the timing was perfect for you too. Always.
It was. I'd had my children, they were growing up. So then I started to sort of take more care of my own body. It's like, okay, this body, I have been running since I was 11. maybe it's not something that I'm going to be doing when I'm 70.
Oh, I don't know. If you could, you would.
I probably could.
Yeah.
So that got me interested in Tai Chi and Qigong. And very quickly, I also realized that apart from the physical benefits of Tai Chi, there were also there's a spiritual side to it. And that really captured my imagination as well. It's one of the things I'd done when I lived in the Far East. I traveled extensively throughout Malaysia, Thailand, and I'd been to lots and lots of Buddhist temples. And I really liked the concept of Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
And Tai Chi is actually a Taoist art. Now, Taoism is a Chinese version of Buddhism. It's slightly different because they believe that keeping your body moving is part of the road of the path to enlightenment. So it's not just about sitting and meditating in a cave, but you also have to keep the body healthy so that it can last longer, so that you can attain more in this lifetime. So I started studying the philosophy of Taoism, and it really, really appealed to me, you know, that there is the way, and you just go with the flow, be like water. Any rocks that appear or challenges that appear in your life, you find a way to flow around them or over them.
I love that. Oh,
Yes.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how beautiful. What a fabulous vision.
Yes.
The image that creates too. And very calming as well.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah.
You've just given me goosebumps.
Yeah. And then I think I realized what a gift I had found.
Yeah.
It's not only on a physical level, it's mental, emotional, and a spiritual level. And for me, that was it's like manna from heaven, you know, it's like food, nourishment for my soul that I didn't even know I was wanting. So I quickly changed my teacher, and I had been introduced to Dr. Yang Ming, who's Chinese Tai Chi instructor, who had a base in Boston in the USA, but he used to come over a lot to the UK. He had schools over here. He's now a grandmaster and he's in his 80s, so he's no longer traveling.
Oh.
But then something profound happened to me in 2001, is that I got divorced. And the very first year that I got divorced, my husband had the children to go on holiday with, and I suddenly had 2 weeks where they were away on holiday and I had nothing.
Yeah.
What do I do? It's a really strange situation.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Boston and I'm going to go to Dr. Yang's center and I'm going to train for 2 weeks.
As you do. I love this drive. Honestly, it's one thing on top of another. It's like when you said, you know, your body let you down, you chose those words, let you down. But you didn't think, oh, that's it now. Can't do anything more. No. It was the attitude of what's next? What can I adapt to? What can I change? What can I learn? Yes. It's always that hunger for improving the mind and body for your well-being, which is fabulous, amazing. Oh, let's carry on. What was it like in Boston?
It was really, really interesting. I opted to sleep on the floor of the studio. He had a couple of bunk rooms, but they were all taken. So I said, you know what? I've got a sleeping bag. I said, just let me sleep on the floor of the studio. I'll do all the classes. I'll, you know, any jobs you want me to do, I'll do. So that's what I did for 2 weeks. It was pretty hard, that floor, the floor.
That's determination for you.
And while I was there, at the weekends, he used to do seminars, 2-day seminars as well. And people would come from all over the States and Europe to listen to him talk and lecture, because he'd been trained in Taiwan. He was Taiwanese. He'd come to the US to do his PhD, but he'd trained in the temples in Taiwan. So he'd got, you know, from the age of 16, he'd got it all, the essence, the real old essence of it. And while I was there that weekend, the topic of his lecture was Tuina for self-healing. And I thought, well, you know, I'm here. I mean, I can't not be here because I'm sleeping on the floor. So I'll just do the seminar for 2 days. And I really, really loved what he was showing us, because I was training martially at that stage as well, a little bit, even though I was in my 40s. He was showing us how we could put back dislocated shoulders, or if you injured somebody in training, how you could repair that injury and put it right. And while I was at the seminar, I met one of his senior instructors, who's still a friend of mine today. And we had to pair up and work, and I paired up with this instructor, and I sort of started talking to him and saying how much I was really enjoying this principle that if you do a wrong to someone, you can right it, physically put it right again, and using very old techniques as well. And he said to me, "Do you do any healing work?" And I said, "No." I said, "The only thing I've done," I said, "I've done some, I'd done my Reiki 1 and 2 by that time." And he said, at lunchtime, he says, "I want you to give me a Reiki treatment." So I said, "Okay, fine."
Oh, gosh. No pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah.
So we found somewhere quiet, and I gave him a Reiki treatment. At the end, he stood up and he just looked at me. He said, "You should be working with your hands." He said, "You are a born healer."
Oh, how fabulous. Wow.
And it was like, whoa,
Yeah,
that
to come
changed.
from him too, following a session. Amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Very, very sensitive guy. Also a healer. So at the end of that 2 days, I decided I wanted to train in Tui Na. It's a form of acupressure massage.
Okay.
So I came back home after that 2 weeks, and I started looking for somewhere to train Tui Na in this country. I thought, I can't keep popping over to Boston. I did for 2 years. I was going every 6 months just to train my Tai Chi and Qigong. So I found somewhere in the UK where I could train, and it had to be part-time. I had to do it at weekends. I couldn't be doing it during the week because I was working.
Yeah.
So I trained in Tui Na and did practitioner level and then master practitioner. And I also do acupuncture. Now, I tell everyone.
Just add that to the mix.
Yeah. Well, I tell everyone it's like, I never set out or intended to be an acupuncturist. I'm the least, the person I would never have thought I would be an acupuncturist. So I did my Tui Na training, which involves learning about the meridians and the points, because we use them, but we use them, instead of using needles, we use the hands and the elbows and the thumbs for manipulating the acupuncture points in the body. And my teacher just took me to one side and she said, "Eirian," she said, "have you thought about doing acupuncture?" No.
It's the universe again.
Yes. She said, "You're halfway there." She said, "You learned the theory, you know the point." She said, "You just got to learn a bit more." She said, "You could do it." So she said to me, "You're quite small," because I'm quite petite. She said, "It's going to be really hard work for you just doing Tui Na massage all the time." She said, "You can mix the Tui Na and the acupuncture if you want."
Wise woman.
Yeah. So I said, okay. So I signed up for the acupuncture. So I qualified. Quite tough to learn. TCM is so different to the way things are done in the West. And then after I had done Chinese acupuncture, I went to China with her. She took a group of students over. We went to a hospital for 2 weeks and watched what they did in the hospital in China. And that's when I really realized what a fantastic thing acupuncture is.
Wow.
When I actually saw for myself how they use it in China. I mean, this was a hospital that was using no Western methods at all. So no x-rays, nothing.
Amazing.
The pharmacy department of the hospital was Chinese herbs. The first floor was Tui Na massage and the second floor was acupuncture.
Oh, wow.
So this is their health system. But I saw things there and I just suddenly thought, oh my gosh, this is a gem. I've been given a gem here. And I didn't realize it at the time.
Wow.
There were some things I wasn't quite happy about with the Chinese version of acupuncture because they needle quite deeply and they can manipulate the needles as well. I'm a very sensitive person and I used to find that I can actually feel the body's energy. So whenever they manipulated the needles, I was actually feeling it. So I'm thinking, okay, I wonder if there's anything else. But I carried on with my acupuncture, and I went to a CPD weekend with my teacher, Maria. And there I met a lady called Fiona, who became a friend, and we were talking. And I said, I don't know, I said, I've been to China twice. Yes, I understand what acupuncture can do. I said, but I feel there's something missing that I need to find. And she just looked at me, she said, have you heard of Japanese acupuncture?
Here we go again. Wow. It's like you were meant to go there all those years ago and be looked after while you'd just given birth by that community, by those ladies that took you under their wing. And that's, again, watching those people in the park doing the Tai Chi.
Yeah.
If you've kind of done a full circle, it's come back to you.
Yes.
You know, in later life, so that you can now go out and help other people, which is lovely, absolutely amazing. So fascinating, an amazing inspirational story. You've got so much drive and so much passion, it's incredible. I could listen to you all day, absolutely all day. But what does 2021 look like for you then? What's, you know, are you still adding to your toolbox?
I am.
Does it and the same?
I'm moving slightly away from sort of the Japanese Chinese things, and I've just finished a foundation course in something called biogeometry, and I'm starting the advanced course next week, and then there's going to be a practitioner level after that. And this is something that's blown my mind, because it is going to fit so nicely with my acupuncture, but it's also going to open up another field for me that I've been dabbling in, but now I've got, I think sometimes I start to dabble in things because I get sort of guidance as to go and do something, and I follow it, but I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm doing it, but you know, hey ho. It's
a knowing though, isn't it? It's a knowing that it's right for you.
So it's like, okay, I'll do it. And then it seems as though once they've got me walking on that path, then they'll give me the tools to manage it, you know. So this tool has come into my life. I'm not sure how to describe biogeometry. It's an ancient system of healing that originates in Egypt. That has been rediscovered by an architect called Dr. Ibrahim Karim, and he's developed biogeometry. So it's a use of life force energy using shapes and space to create optimum health.
Wow.
And also to create optimum energy. So one of the things I'm really excited about is my new husband, who I married last year.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you.
A Dutchman.
A Dutchman. Living in North Wales. Who, well, he wasn't until I met him. He's now living in North Wales. So he had got interested in this as he's an architect. And he was looking at it from the space of using it in design and houses, and how you can change the energy of houses. So it's a bit like feng shui, but it's not as complicated as feng shui. But you can also use this for the body, and it fits so nicely with acupuncture, because the acupuncture points in your body are actually points where your system can interact with the environment. But I've also got interest, I've started to do some earth energy healing work, and this is going to allow me to do it safely. So, and it's also the systems that he's using also allow you to manage electromagnetic radiation from Wi-Fi and things like that.
Oh, that's fascinating. That's
protect
amazing.
Your home and yourself from Wi-Fi and 5G that's coming in. So
you can definitely feel the 5G. That you go anywhere near that kind of energy. I remember doing a similar thing with geometrical energy in houses for clearing houses, energetic negative imprints and
Yes,
dowsing.
that's right. Yeah, this is it.
Dowsing
This
rods.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't use dowsing rods. We use pendulums for dowsing like this.
Oh yeah.
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 Specially designed. But for healing, this is what's really got me, is he uses things called biogeometry signatures. And they are patterns.
I like symbols.
Yeah, symbols. And you can just draw them on the body, or you can draw them on a bracelet and you wear it. You know, it's just, I can see how I can use this in my healing work.
You can relate to that. If you think about it, when all those years ago you did your Reiki 2 and we brought the symbols in and we used the symbols in attunement, you know, if you've done anything with the Metatron methods, that's sacred geometry as well. So I'm a big fan of using the symbols and the geometry. And I think, you know, Asui had a lot going from all those years ago to do it sort of by intention and not having to use any hands or any symbols that was brought in later, but it definitely works so you can associate the meaning behind each symbol. We're working on mental, emotional, or, you know, we're working on a different area altogether in energy. Oh, big fan.
What struck me when I first saw these signatures was, oh my God, I recognize it. Some of these are so like the Reiki symbol, you know?
Yeah.
But there's a whole pile of them. I've got a book of them, you know, that you can use on different organs and things. It's just like, well, it's really interesting. So
it is. It's fascinating, though. I remember saying, "Oh, I'm going to pop these on the wall in my therapy room," and my master said, "No. You know, they're sacred symbols, and they're for you to use by intention. And when something is static on a wall, it's not got the flow of energy and the vibration. So, you know, don't do that. And you've got to really respect these traditions, haven't you?
Yes,
you really have. Yeah. Oh, fabulous, amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. I have to look at the time because I think you and I could, after that, we could go on for an hour or so more talking about energy and healing. Oh, can't wait to meet you, seriously.
Yeah, me too. I'm really looking forward to meeting you too.
Yeah, lovely conversation. Thank you so much for your time. Have you any tips for anybody on the mothership? Look at everything that you've done, all the travel, all the learning. When you think about it, coming out of the library surrounded by books, was it ever any wonder that you had that? Or that's all full circle, you know. It's like, oh, what can I learn about this and what can I learn about that? And now look at you. What can you share with anybody else on their journey?
Okay, I would just say to you, I think this is the essence of something of the things I've learned, is that self-care is not a luxury. It really isn't. You know, you owe it to yourself. You cannot look after anybody else, you know, until you've looked after you, and make sure that you are well looked after, you know, and that's your responsibility, not anybody else's. You know, love thyself, you nourish yourself, so get your sleep, good food, you know, cope with stress. Stress is a real killer. So, you know, find things that you can do that you love to do. You know, because they'll nourish your soul, not just your body, but your soul as well.
It's not about just junk food in your body, it's junk thoughts in your mind. As well.
And keeping positive.
Oh, fantastic. I can't wait till we can all get together and we're all in the same room. Can you imagine the energy? It'd be incredible.
Be great.
Oh, wow, I'd love to stay in touch. I'd love to hear more about what you're doing, and when we can get together, we'll have to do just that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm up for that.
Do a healing exchange, that'd be lovely.
Yeah, that would be absolutely great. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely lovely to meet you, and take care, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Take care.